Does Pennsylvania reassess properties when it gets sold? That is very common in a lot of states throughout the United States, but Pennsylvania is one of the few that does not reassess properties when they get sold. However, that is something that owners and buyers need to be very careful and aware of because on a standard practice in Pennsylvania, properties do not get reassessed. However, when they are transferred, the taxing authority will review recent sales and the tax record and compare the two to check for errors, so they say. But what they're looking for is an opportunity to increase the assessment. So let's say, for example, that you sell a 15-unit property, but the assessor looks at that recent sale and sees that it's marked as a 15-unit and says, we only have this property down as a 12-unit property. We're going to increase your assessment to make it a 15-unit because we missed those other three, and then send you a notice that your assessment is going to get increased. So that is an example of a time when they can legitimately increase your taxes. So what you can do as a buyer is to review the tax information and make sure it matches what your sale is as far as the square footage, how many units it is, and all the basic criteria that is on a tax record to make sure that you don't get hit with a surprise bill. And then if you do, make sure that you appeal that if you have a valid base for appealing, because oftentimes they will go out and look for opportunities to try and assess it when it's not really a factual base. So for example, I recently sold a property that had a large on-site garage, and the taxing authority reviewed that sale, tried to include it as finished square footage, and increase that owner's tax basis really substantially. They, of course, appealed it and won because it was not finished living area to be assessed at that higher rate. So make sure that you know the information and appeal and stand by your rights as the property owner. And then let's also talk about Maryland. So in Maryland, the property taxes are updated every 3 years. So every 3 years, they're looking and re-examining the tax record to see if there's a basis for increasing it. If the market overall has increased it, there's a pretty good chance your property is going to be increased as well. So they will look at recent sales and take that into account. So if you buy a property, make sure that you are looking at the fact that they will probably be increasing your taxes. But the good news is they phase it in over 3 years. So it's not a big tax bill once they reassess it in that third year. They do phase it in so that the next 3 years is an even phase in instead of one big chunk all at once. So those are some tips on property tax assessment in Pennsylvania and in Maryland.